A while ago, I made a video about anxiety.
You don't have bosses anymore, but you have to talk to clients. Help!
Although openly talking about it felt therapeutic, I really don't feel I added anything new to the table. If you follow me on social, you'll probably know I'm self-employed, and you might also know I have a couple of mental illnesses to boot. They usually don't combine well with a hustle, so today I want to share some coping techniques that work for me. When you work for yourself, you often work from home, and when you work from home, you never leave work. So physically separating your work and your private life can make a ton of difference. For a year in Amsterdam, I rented a desk in a small shared studio with only 3 other people. I'm prone to avoidance, and avoiding stuff is very easy to do at home because there's always something else you can direct your attention to. But sitting with a computer somewhere where there's not much else to do can make you really productive, even on a bad day. Since we moved to Rotterdam, my setup has changed a bit, so I have my big computer here that I also use to edit videos and such, but I also have my laptop, and more often than not, I will be working from cafes. Having to get dressed, get out, and go somewhere to work creates that physical boundary, so I don't keep bringing work back home. So no more all-nighters, and you also get to experience the world outside, which is great if you don't work in an office. Every creative out there wants to have an assistant, or at least a manager, but they cost money. And you know what costs less? Client relationship managers. There are many of them out there, but I'm using the Bzado, and what it does is basically automating your client interactions. I tend to get caught up in my head if I'm supposed to write emails or send invoices, and it used to take me 8 hours to just send out one single invoice, which is not good. Thinking about invoicing people still gives me a lot of anxiety. I outsourced it to a friendly server, and now it's mainly automatic. If somebody wants to book a photo shoot with me, first they get a questionnaire. Once they fill it in and I review it, I may or may not want to work for them. If I do, they will receive a contract. When they sign it, they automatically get an invoice. If they don't pay an invoice, they get automatic reminders. So I can make sure I'm my best self for the actual creative part of the shoot. Planning it, creating a mood board, shooting, editing. And I can do that better because I don't have to lose my mind about essential but anxiety-inducing and really not that creative part of it all. I still occasionally outsource things to people. They say that a good business owner knows when to outsource. If I'm struggling with my workload, and if I've just done a fashion shoot that requires a specific, more thorough kind of editing, I may or may not hire somebody to do it for me. I know some creatives don't like outsourcing parts of their work because they feel it wouldn't be theirs anymore, but there are ways to get a consistent output. If your signature style are your colors, you can do your color correction, but then hire somebody to edit people's skin for you, for example. Or if you're not a photographer at all, you can probably find a virtual assistant that can help you with some other things like transcribing your videos or handling your social media. And here's the thing, it doesn't cost a lot of money if you don't do it all the time. But if you feel you're spreading yourself too thin, or if you notice that your work-life balance is getting skewed again, you can outsource at least one part of your workload to somebody else for as little as a week. But that might be enough for you to get back on track. Bullet journaling. If you go to Pinterest, it will intimidate you because there are a lot of overly decorated art journals out there. But that's not what bullet journaling is about. Bullet journaling is just a system of using bullet points and logging things in a rapid, concise manner. And you can do whatever you want with it. You can create a calendar, you can make your to-do lists, you can take notes at meetings, so you can both plan and log things as they happen. And that helped me a lot. Due to my brain constantly ruminating, I tend to forget stuff. Like, I can literally see a concert tonight and then 3 days later, I'm not gonna remember I did. My bullet journal acts as both a very flexible planner because you're making your own, and a very concise but thorough diary, or like a log of things that happened. Everything's in one notebook, and if it were any other way, I would probably forget other parts of the setup most of the time. And everything being so flexible enables me to, on a particularly bad day, just have a brain dump on paper. And then I can go through everything, cross out, prioritize, analyze, and turn all that brain diarrhea into some actionable steps. I'm not the right person to tell you to go offline every once in a while because I probably spend like 5 hours a day on Instagram alone. And I was also never the right person to like meditate. But recently I rediscovered taking long exposure cityscape photos at night. Going somewhere with a tripod as a photographer basically means that you have to spend some time at one single place, which is something I don't normally do. If I'm going somewhere, I have a goal. But this way, just standing still is a goal. It forces me to slow down. You might not be a photographer, but you can still find one activity that forces you to slow down and to disconnect a bit. If you have a ritual of drinking tea or coffee in the morning, maybe you can do it without devices. Maybe you can grab lunch and eat it in a park without fiddling with your phone while doing so. Maybe you can create a weekly habit of seeing a movie in an actual movie theater. That's another thing I do, and it's great because when you're sitting in the theater, there's not much else you can do. And if you like movies, I mean, that's a thing that will make you happy. Cooking is also a thing that I do to disconnect, especially if I have to do something with my hands. I hope at least one of these tips will help you if you're self-employed and struggling with anxiety, just like me. Thanks for watching, and if you have some other tips, if you have some coping techniques that worked for you, please leave them in the comments. But also, if you're struggling with something, try and get help from a trained professional. We can only do so much to help ourselves. I'm Jan, and I'll see you in the next video.